I appreciate you coming to get the accurate information. Is there anybody here that lives on the west side in an area that was paved or addressed last year? No one. I can tell you, I said, yeah, excuse me, that's west, this is east, yeah, the east side. I can tell you that the universal feedback at the board level that we got on the quality of the work, the quality of the project, and the quality of the communications was stellar. And if that is true in their opinion, the primary reason for both of those things start with this young man to my right here, whose name is Sam Thompson of Ground Engineering. He's going to go through his resume briefly here in just a minute in the PowerPoint. But this is the third summer, third or is it the fourth? Third summer that Sam has come out to oversee the paving, the concrete, the curb and gutter and cart path repairs that we've done here in the community. And you need to understand that he is our representative. He is our expert to make sure that everything is done in the fashion that satisfies you, the customer, not the vendor. And PLM, the paving company, is represented here today, and I know they're going to do a great job. But Sam is your representative or your ambassador, if you will. We're excited that he's back because he knows us, he knows the project, he knows our expectations. In addition to that, the reason that it came off so well last year, and I expect the same thing, is the oversight that the Facilities and Grounds Committee has put into this prior to where we are today. That's chaired by Dave Burnett, and Dave is a civil engineer with extensive road work in his repertoire, over 30 years of experience in that area. And he's complemented on that committee by a man named Ira Paulin, who does live on the east side, was in it, he lives down at the bottom area and was affected by the project last year. And Ira was actually an owner of an asphalt company in addition to being an extensive agriculture guy out in eastern Colorado. But between the two of those, they work in concert with Sam to build a good project. And so we're confident that what we're going to have this year is going to replicate what we had last year, and it's going to be a major dollar expenditure. But when we are through with this, the entire east side will have been addressed in the last 2 years, and we will have a better product for a road than we've had down there since the community was built. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sam, and I look forward to a good presentation. Thanks, Sam. And let's give him a round of applause. Sam Thompson.
Thank you, Steve. Just by a quick show of hands, who attended last year the town hall? Okay, about half or so. Okay, so some of this is going to be repeat information, so hopefully I don't bore you to death. But just want to go through the project this year. The main thing I want to stress on this year's project is we are not doing any concrete work. It is all just asphalt paving. So this is a simpler project, less complex project than we were doing last year, and it's going to go a lot faster. I think we're looking at about 3 to 4 weeks overall total. Where last year we were out here for about 11 weeks with the concrete work. So we're going to get in, we're going to do our work, and we're going to let you guys have your community back. So as I get going, just brief introduction about myself. As Steve said, my name is Sam Thompson. I grew up in Wisconsin. I attended University of Wisconsin where I got my mechanical engineering degree. Shortly after I graduated, my wife and I moved out here. So she could go to graduate school at DU. And I have been working at ground engineering since the day we moved out here. So I've been there about 14 years now. We live a couple miles north of here and got two daughters who are getting ready to start junior high and high school. So my life is a little chaotic, and Because I didn't think it was chaotic enough, we decided to get a puppy about 4 weeks ago. So now my sleep is a little wacky too. So excuse me if I am off a little bit today. The general scope of work today, like Steve said, we're going to finish up all the paving on the east side, and that's going to involve some crack patching and patching of areas that you can tell are bad, that are starting to fall apart, that we need to remove all the way down to the dirt and repave. We're also going to be roto-milling the rest of the roads. We'll be taking off about 2 inches of the surface of those roads, and then after that is finished, we'll be resurfacing with the brand new asphalt. Anticipated work and schedule, we're going to start about April 26th. Again, all of these dates at this point are pretty tentative. As you know, tomorrow we may see no snow, we may see a thunderstorm, we may see a foot of snow. This time of year it gets a little bit touchy on weather, just to make sure we can keep everything rolling. And again, that's why every day we're going to send out email notifications to the entire community to let them know where we're going to be working the following day and how they'll be affected by that work. Work hours are generally 7 a.m. to 5:30. If we can finish up an area of road and it's getting to 5:30, we might end up working a little later than that, but we want to try and get you your roads back by dinner time there. And we want to get home too at the end of the day as well. Weekend work has been permitted in the past, but it will only be probably for catch-up days if we get a weather day or things and we need to catch up to stay on schedule. Or if we fall behind schedule for unforeseen circumstances, then we're going to probably work on a Saturday to get caught back up so we can get out of here. And we're hoping to have everything done by around May 17th, somewhere in that week, 17th, 18th, depending on how everything goes. And again, this kind of overviews what I just talked about as far as the project schedule. We're going to start out here next Thursday just with some saw cutting of some of the major cracks and some of the areas that we need to patch. That should not affect traffic at all. It is possible that maybe they'll be cutting some cracks out in front of your house. That would only last for probably about half an hour or so. So, before we do anything in front of someone's driveway, typically I've knocked on people's doors and asked if they need to get out or whatever and let them know. As we start doing that, all of those cracks will then be filled back in with asphalt by the end of the day, so we can open the road back up and you guys will have access in the evening up and down the road. Here's an example of what some crack patching looks like. Like, as you can see, we cut the crack out, fill it back up with asphalt, and then we're going to resurface the entire thing with 2 inches of fresh asphalt on top. So those cracks will essentially disappear. So all that thump, 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 that you hear as you drive down the road will hopefully be gone within a couple weeks. Along with this crack patching, we are going to be doing some infrared patching on Heritage Eagle Bend on some of the big cracks there. And that's where they take a big burner and heat the asphalt up and kind of re-rake it and smooth it out to get rid of those cracks. The reason we aren't resurfacing over there and we aren't cutting those cracks out is because unless you're ready to repave the entire street, which we're not quite there yet, there's no reason to make that one crack into 2 cracks. So we're just going to patch them over and hopefully get rid of all the lumps as you drive down Heritage Parkway here as well. Some of the accessibility issues I already talked about. There will be some temporary road closures during the day while we're working in there. We do have to have a dump truck and some equipment in there to get the material in and out. Again, I will be sending out email notices telling people where we're going to be working, so you will know if you'll be affected or not. Cars are allowed to be parked on the street during the construction time as long as they're outside of the construction zone. If you do park in the construction zone, I typically have gone house to house to house to try and find the owner and give everyone as good a chance as I can to get them to move their car prior to having a tow truck or something come in and move it for you. The mill schedule, the next phase of the project will be the milling, and that's a picture of it here, basically. That's where we come in and buzz the surface of the street, take off the top 2 inches or so of asphalt. And while we're doing this, we have some pretty big sections that we're gonna be working on in order to get this done on time. And so we're gonna have 20 to 25 dump trucks running loops all day. So just be very aware that while we're working in here and during the duration of the project, there's gonna be some big equipment rolling through the neighborhood. So just everyone, please be patient, please be careful. They have a lot of blind spots on their trucks. You know, they do backing up, you know, it's hard to see things. Number one thing we want out of this project is safety. We don't want people's cars getting damaged. We don't want people getting damaged. We just want to finish everything up safely. Here's an area of the phasing of the areas we're going to work. Again, as you can see, a majority of the work is going to be finishing up the east side of the neighborhood, and then we're also going to do some work on Zante Court because that cul-de-sac, if you've been down there for the block party at all, you know, is starting to fall apart every year. It gets a little worse and worse, so we needed to address that right away. And the paving schedule is going to follow this same phasing, so everything is going to basically remain the same areas and things. It will be a little tricky. You know, you can see some of these areas are pretty large. So as we close off streets in order to pave or to mill, it's going to be hard to get accessibility in there. While we're milling the streets, we can get cars in and out, although with all the equipment we have, we'd really prefer that we do not have cars driving down the road. When we start paving, they spray a tack substance on the street, which is kind of like a liquefied tar. Once that goes down on the street, trust me, you do not want to be driving your car on the street. If it gets on your shoes, on your tires, it gets everywhere, and it's very hard to get off. So we're hoping to close down sections of streets as we're paving, you know, to keep things moving along so people can get in and out if they need to, so we're not taking up the entire street for the entire day. Paving is scheduled to begin on the 9th of May and wrap up around the 16th or the 17th. Again, these dates are all tentative based on weather and based on production and equipment. You know, as long as everything's working, as long as we have great weather, we shouldn't have any problem meeting these schedules. Again, same map, different dates on there for the paving schedule. Zante Court scheduled to start on the 9th. And then as you can read through and see if you live in any of these areas, you know, we finally finish up down on Phillips. Will be the last section that we work on. Accessibility during the mill and overlay. Now this is a little more intrusive than the crack patching. Again, we prefer to have the roads totally closed down while we're doing the milling and the overlay. So we would come in and close the road, do our milling, sweep it up, reopen it at the end of the day, and then approximately a week later is when we'll be back in to pave. So it's not going to be back-to-back days for folks. It'll just be one day at a time, and then about a week later, you'll have another day that you'll have to deal with it as well. Again, with the parking, you are permitted to park on the streets outside of the construction zone if you do need to get in and out. If you have a golf cart, you might want to drive your golf cart down to your car. Some of these are going to be a little ways away. And again, roads will be opened when we're paving. Roads will be open the following morning. We have to let that asphalt cool down enough so when we get cars on there, they're not tearing up the surface, you know, as they spin tires and turn tires. So we do need to leave the road closed through the night while we're paving. And then I usually get here about 6:15 in the morning and pull the traffic control out and the road's open, and then we're done and off to mess with your neighbors. Property damage. You know, last year we did a lot of concrete work. Sprinklers, man, we destroyed a lot of sprinklers and we replaced a lot of sprinklers. We ripped up some sod. We tore up some invisible dog fence. You know, we broke a couple branches off trees and we even hit a mailbox. None of that should happen this year because we're not doing any concrete work. We should be strictly between the curbs on the street at all times. That doesn't mean these things can't happen, but the likelihood of them happening is greatly reduced because we're not doing anything on the sidewalks, not doing anything on the curbs or gutters this year. So hopefully any of this stuff is kept to an extreme minimum. Last year, we had a great way. You could either find me off on the site and let me know if something has happened, or if you're concerned about something. I'll be here, 10, 12 hours a day while this project's going on, and I can take care of it out there. If you don't see me out there or you can't find me, you're always welcome to email or call Jean. I know Wendy loves getting calls in the office there, and then she typically just forwards those straight off to me. And I'll come find you and we'll get things fixed. Again, contact information, like I just said, I will be on site this whole time. Gene, his email address is up there. Everyone knows Gene. Everyone knows how to get in contact at the HOA office. The big thing I want to stress again is please be patient and please be on the lookout. Let's make this safe. Let's get it done quickly and get out of your hair. Like I said, we should be done before mid-May, and then unlike last year, you guys will have the entire summer to enjoy those nice, smooth roads.
Pay close attention to your e-blast daily. Jeff and I and Sam will be looking to making any kind of change. You will get it the day before. Plus, Sam will be out there knocking on doors to making sure that everybody in that area is going to the proper area, okay? We don't want you walking through that tack, as he puts it. We had some folks last year go through it, and we ended up cleaning their driveways and everything else. So just stay out of that stuff. But more importantly, safety. Be careful driving in and around these big trucks. Last year we had some close calls, and also the lip of your driveway after they've cut that mill off there, that overlay or that mill, when they've milled it, go in there slow, because there was some tire damage last year with that too. So be careful coming out of your driveway. I think that's important. One of the next things I want to touch about today is the gates. Once they mill the gates, they're going to be open until they get them closed back in with the overlay, and then the folks will come in there, doors west, and put new loops in there so the gates will be able to open when you drive up to them to exit the community. So we're trying to make it as minimal as we can on how long the gates will be open, but they are going to be open, and I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that. It's important to know. And, of course, you can call me with any concerns or anything like that, and I'll be glad to go out and see Sam as we see each other every day during this. So we look forward to this. It's going to be a nice addition to our community, and we really appreciate your support.
Nope. Just one thing that I want to add is, first of all, I had mentioned Ira Paulin, a member of the Facilities and Grants. Ira, could you just raise your hand? And Ira is one of the two gentlemen that I remarked about that was a former owner of an asphalt company. If you see him out in the community, you can feel free to ask him any questions and you'll get the straight answer. The other thing is, we appreciate all of you coming here today, but there's a lot of your neighbors that are not here. If you notice that Jeff has filmed this, and if you can get the word out, particularly you delegates, if you can get the word out to your residents that this will be up on the web, by when, Jeff? Okay, hopefully tomorrow, but it'll be up certainly before we start. And tell your friends and neighbors to be looking for a post on the web so that they can watch this same presentation and get the same information. Any other questions? If not, thanks to Sam, and we look forward to having a good project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.